Yay, there we are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Lisa Wilbur, and this morning I am with Connie Evans. Good morning,
Hello,
Connie. How are you?
I'm
Hey,
doing well. How are
we
you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. I figure if you're going to be something, you might as well be fabulous. Right.
That
Hey,
sounds so simple.
you know what I heard you say, and I think that is so true. I'm not sure our paths would have crossed had we not be doing the theater together.
That's true of so many of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you
It-
know what, I find it exciting because we're bringing people, I don't want to say out of the woods because people aren't living in the woods, but that
yes, we
expression
are.
that
Yes,
they're
we are.
co- they're coming from all areas of where, all ages. Yeah.
And you know what's funny is uh, do you mind if I say the little part, but you got to kick in how you really felt, the little part about how we just ended up doing the first show. Do you mind if I say that and then work
Go ahead.
backwards?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so this is how, from my perspective, what happened. I only went down to that meeting. It was the meeting Tom Flaherty had for the Historical Society um, about the 250th anniversary of the Pine Tree Riot. I only went there because that happened on my property, and I always wondered why they didn't do the reenactments here.
Mm,
I went down to say, hey, why don't you do the reenactments up here? That's all I went for. I didn't think
mhm.
I was going to be participating. And then I was sitting next to you.
Hmm.
So Tom is like, we need some anchor thing to something going on to get people to come. And I just been to a play down the high school with Alex, my son, and I thought, hey, and I said it out loud, why don't we do a play? And you were sitting there and I went, why don't we do a play? We'll use Connie's book. And I turned to you and you went, you were like a deer in the headlight. You're
Oh
like,
my gosh.
we don't even have a script or anything. And I'm like, what's a script? I said that in my head. I didn't say that out loud. Um, but I was kind of thinking I would in brainstorming mode or something. So when you said that, I just went, well, the teacher down in the high school looks like she might know how to do that. And because I met her when Alex was in the play. So I said, well, let's go down and we'll figure that out. And then that's actually what happened is you met
Mhm.
Jen Madsky and you wrote the script and we moved forward from there. So
Yeah.
from your perspective now, how did this happen?
Well, first of all, Tom Flaherty came to me as president or chairman of the Historical Society and said, we're going to do a 250th celebration or anniversary of this Pine Tree Riot. And I thought, okay. Then he said, we're going to have a meeting. So I felt like, well, I guess I better go. Um, and I was very uncomfortable about it. I mean, it was the first book I wrote, I wasn't feeling 100% sure of myself as a writer. But I thought, well, he read the book, so he must
So he
think it's
asked you
okay.
because your book was on topic.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And when you said Connie can write make the script, I mean, I panicked. I really panicked. I mean,
You showed panic.
oh my
That's what
gosh.
people are getting.
It just wasn't in my wheelhouse. Even writing a book is was just barely in my wheelhouse. So, yeah, that was an uncomfortable moment. But you know something, it's very interesting. So much just happened to come together.
Yeah.
And Jen, the drama teacher, she was just thinking about and she's so busy. She was in between things, I think. But she said, I'd always wanted to write a screenplay
Wow.
and or, a script for a play. And so she was on that mindset. I was on the mindset, help, but I can't do this. And so we collaborated and that was really good. And then the other thing that came together and you might want to tell the story. I don't know about how we got our director,
Oh, yes.
Kenny. I
That
mean,
was really good. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
just happened. I don't know.
And
There are just so many
and
things
you
about it.
you actually had something to do with that more than you were thinking because you had the town put the announcement for tryouts
Oh, on the
on the
town
sign
hall
in the middle of
sign.
town, right?
Yeah,
So, okay, so I'll tell that little part if you don't mind. Is that
go
right?
ahead.
Okay, so once you and Jen wrote the script, we all were going down to the high school for a read through.
Hmm.
And on the way down there, I got to tell you, I was thinking, oh, good, they've got this handled. When I'll be all out, I'll be done with this. And when we went down there, because I'm a salesman, Jen had gotten George uh, to possibly direct. So that's what she said. Here's George. He's possibly going to direct. And you all did the read through. I sat there and listened and everything. And then
And
George was
George
kind of
had,
him and hawing, right?
pardon me?
George was kind of him and hawing.
Right, but explain like George was a new resident of where, and he had taught or been a director of scores of plays in Maine.
So we were thinking, oh, this is awesome. And then he was kind of him and hard. So I said, okay, George, because I'm a salesman, I said, what's it going to take for you to say yes to this? Because
Mhm.
that's what I would do in that situation. And he said, I don't think you're going to be able to get 30 people to an audition in this size town. And I said, so if I get 30 people to an audition, are you in? And he said, yes, I'm in. So I left that meeting thinking, I'm getting 30 people, he'll be in. And so the time when the auditions was going to be Sunday, I always thought you were out of country doing something. What were you doing that week beforehand, the auditions? Because you weren't sure you were going to make it back. That I do remember.
Yeah, I don't remember now
You
where
were
we
you were
were.
somewhere else and you weren't sure you were going to make it back. And then we're supposed to do this Sunday. Monday, I get a call from George. He's out. He just said, I'm out. I'm out. And there's nothing I can. And I'm thinking, it's too late now. I got 30 people coming Sunday. This is
Yeah.
Monday beforehand. So my phone rings on Wednesday and it was a New York number. I didn't answer it. I just ignored it because I thought it's a spam call. But then Friday, the same number rang again. And I happened to be an Avon representative and headquarters is in New York. I thought, well, maybe it's them.
Mm.
So I answered it, and it was a man, and he said, my name is Kenny Hall, and I graduated from John Stark, the local high
Mhm.
school. And I saw your number on the board in the middle of town about the play. So I'm thinking the man wants to try out. I said, awesome. We're having auditions on Sunday. Be here between this time. And he said, well, actually, I've been the last 20 years down in New York being an art director on TV shows such as Seinfeld.
Yeah.
And right away, I remember I was standing up in my room talking to him, and I thought, here's the director. Here's my director. This man's going to direct this, and I'm going to act like he's doing it from this moment forward. And he said his big dream was to go down to high school and direct a play. And I said, oh, Kenny, you don't have to wait for that. You can come direct this one. And he said, oh, no, no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to jump right in like that. And I said, no problem. You know what? Just come on Sunday. I said, come and meet Connie. She wrote it. And we'll just see what happens. You can meet her and talk to her. And then I told you he was in though.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
meanwhile, though, to complicate it, I had said to my husband, because he's been in a zillion
I
plays
didn't
and
know
he's
that. Yeah.
directed, and he didn't really want to do it. Um, we don't make a real good team sometimes.
Well, that's
So,
hard to work with your spouse. That's
yeah,
understandable.
so he didn't want to do it, and I convinced him. So he went there thinking he was the director. Um, anyway, it got a little
Well, and
crazy.
I didn't know that about Gary. I knew he
Right.
might
Yeah.
consider it, but I didn't know. So what I had no background in any of this, didn't have any theater interest even, none of that. I only knew what I knew from TV and from Alex.
Yeah.
So I took out a conference table and put it up and put the three of you with name signs, and I put Kenny in the middle on purpose. But I wasn't sure you were coming because you were out of the area and you told me you weren't sure. So I
Okay.
I thought I might just have Kenny there. But however it worked out, I put the three of you in there, started ushering people in. I treated Kenny like he was the director from the moment he walked in the door.
Which
And then,
confused Gary.
right. And then you actually came out on a break and said something along the lines of, Kenny sounds like he doesn't know he's doing this or something. And I'm like, oh no, he's in. He's in. And then at the end, when you guys all sat around, discussed who's getting what part and all that, and then everybody was leaving, um, Kenny left, I think, last because I was talking to him for a minute. I went up with my own little notepad and stuff, and I said, tell me what we need to do next. And I treated him like he was running the show from that moment, and he never corrected me. He took on.
That's a good example for people. If you want something, just pretend you already have it.
Take it to me. It was funny because it was probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks later, we lost a cast member, as we now know happens a lot.
Yeah.
And somebody else in town, I said to them, it was a guy, I said, do you think you could come and just read on Sunday? We got a rehearsal. And I don't have anybody for the part. I know you said you don't want to do it, but could you just read it for me that one day? And then when he showed up, I had his binder with his name on it, and I acted like he was in. And he stayed. He was in.
Do
And
people
Kenny,
fear you?
not until they know the story. So then he says, Kenny says to me afterward, how did you get him to agree to that? And I said, the same way I got you to do the director thing. And then we, and
Yeah.
that's the only time we ever spoke about that.
Yeah, that's funny.
And now we've done
We
three shows
have.
with all of us, with Kenny
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
He's pretty amazing to work with. I'm shocked.
He has a different approach, which works. Yeah.
It's kind of like layers, like every week is one more layer of the thing, and you
Mm.
don't get to see the big picture till,
Till the end. Yeah.
yeah. Is it, I see, I haven't worked with other directors, so I don't even know what the process is. How does Gary deal with that? Is he kind of like that, or?
Well, it was hard for him. What he wanted was specific dates with specific groups of people that would rehearse on that day. Like he got a whole calendar when he's in a play now,
Mhm.
and he got a whole calendar of exactly who's going to be there and when and all
So
that.
the other people don't see the other people performing
Right.
the thing. Yeah. Yeah, I see. I didn't know that that went on, because I was just going by what Kenny does. I,
But I mean, and other directors do it differently.
different,
So, I
yeah.
mean, there's no absolute on this. It's how you want to work. And I think he kind of goes with the flow a little bit.
So let's talk more about you, though. We talked enough about Kenny.
Oh, well, that was my plan. Get you off track.
No, sometimes stuff like that just comes together, and
Mm,
it's amazing. I mean, it's amazing that we've done 3 shows,
hmm
and now it's the four of us with Julie.
hmm
She, and somebody said the Fab Four. I thought that was cute. I think, oh, that's
Oh,
cute. Four of us doing
interesting.
stuff.
Yeah,
We each bring our own skill set to the table,
exactly.
and
Yeah,
it ends up working. We don't have overlapping things. It's funny.
yeah,
So you were a teacher though for how
I
many years?
was. Oh, I don't know, 30, something like that.
And you did languages, correct?
Yes, I taught Spanish, high school Spanish.
Because that's crazy. I didn't have I when I heard that, I'm like, I had no idea.
Yeah, I loved it. I really loved it. But, I knew it was time to retire when cell phones became a problem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What
I
age
think
group did
now,
you like?
what is that?
What age group did you like to teach?
Oh, golly. Well, I liked the advanced classes. I had a Spanish 6 student that was just doing extra. She was very smart. And anyway, so I enjoyed that because we would meet. separately and
Oh,
discussed
nice.
books that I had had to read.
So
But
was it high school or middle school?
high school,
High school. Okay. Oh,
yeah,
that's awesome. So that's
yeah,
almost darn near adults, kind of.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. When you teach a language, you do silly things, and I would do things that I would never think of doing in front of other people. Um, but I mean, I think I gave them a permission to be kids again. They're trying to be older. They're trying to be, an adult, but inside they're kids, and they
Yeah.
want to have fun. So I tried my best to make learning fun.
Well, that's smart. So before that, what brought you to teaching?
Well, I think I have a learning disability, and so school was hard for me. But for some reason, when I got into languages, I started in French and then went to Spanish, and for some reason, it all clicked.
Nice.
And the way I studied for languages kind of showed me how to study for other things. Um, yeah, it's kind of weird. So, and maybe that made me a better teacher, that I could understand a little more. I never solved it, and I felt there were kids that I just couldn't figure out how to make it easier for them. They were very math science oriented, and it just was a different brain, the side of the brain.
So how did you find teaching? Was it fun? It's fun with the kids, but is it hard as far as dealing with I would imagine it's like any other company where dealing with the administration, all that stuff is not the fun part.
I liked my last principal very much.
Oh,
I
nice.
thought he was excellent, and um, they pretty much left. It's funny that they concentrate on the core subjects, and they kind of left languages alone. So
Oh,
we were pretty free to do what we wanted. We didn't have too many hoops to jump through, but um, I really liked it a lot. I looked forward to going to school. I really did.
well, that's awesome. And you did 30 years. Wow.
Yeah,
That's a big career.
yeah.
Yeah. And so when you retired, is that the first time that you decided to write or you were writing all along?
No, I was not. I mean, that's why I'm so insecure about it, because I never did this before. Um, I, well, I was 65, I guess, when I retired, and I was beginning to lose words. I'd start to talk and I couldn't think of the word I wanted, and I thought, maybe if I just started to write, whatever, anything, just started to write, I'd slow myself down and, see if that helped. And I had The History of Where by William Little sitting on my bookshelf that I'd never opened. And it's like, it's massive, it's huge. And I thought, something, I bet the Pine Tree Riot's in there, and I don't really know enough about that. I want to look that up. And so I thought, that's my story. I'm just going to write it. Had no intention of writing a book at all. But then I thought, I could learn a little more about writing. And at the same time, Sharon Zarnicki was establishing her writers group. So I thought, well, I need that, and I went there. And it was a very relaxed atmosphere, very non-threatening. You just read whatever you wanted to or not. You could be there listening. You could ask, I need help on such and such. What do you think? And so as I was writing it, Sharon really pushed me into publishing, and everybody there, that was their goal. It wasn't my goal, but it was their goal. And they helped me get through the publishing process. It's self-publishing through Amazon. And so now we're doing craft fairs and so forth, selling our books.
That's so you have more than one now, though.
I do. I have three
That's
altogether.
awesome.
And they all
So,
come out of the Where History
so
stories.
that's why it's such a good fit, I think, because Kenny has a passion for Where History, the director.
Yeah.
So what a good fit.
Yeah,
The
I mean, it is amazing how this has come together. Yeah. And the next play I'm working on is going to be centered around the Civil War.
oh, and that's
Yeah.
always good.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
all. And did you say you're going to try to do vignettes so you can do smaller visual
Yeah.
groups?
That's what I'm trying to do. I've written three, I think, already.
Oh,
Um, but
nice.
but they're not because they're not long, you need a lot to fill up an hour, which
Right.
means another big cast. And
Right, right.
that's hard.
You make my job a little hard.
And also we had, those three wonderful kids, students, high school students that had the top roles. I don't know if I'm going to be able to have in enough younger people roles. I still have a couple more to write, so
That
some
was
maybe
hard to fill them
someone,
though, so that's all
but
right. That was
yeah,
hard to fill them, so that's
yeah,
not
that's true.
really bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've been pretty privileged the last three times to have people from what, 5 years old all the way up to
Yeah.
85 years. I mean, there's been a big
Yeah.
variety.
Yeah.
And that's it. I don't know about you, but even though it's some annoying because like the kids don't get wrangled very often. They're often doing
Yeah.
stuff that's distracting. It still felt like a privilege to have them all there like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
How
they
did you
really got into it, their
right?
emotional level increased with each performance, so when it came to saying their one line, boy, did they say it.
And I can't help but think, the card I sent you, I made sure every cast member got a card
That
thanking
was
them
so
and
nice.
with their own pictures. But I mean, I'm selfishly also doing that so that when we need to build another cast, someone feels good about the experience they had.
Oh yeah.
And the other thing I keep thinking is I have a scrapbook up on my shelf. I don't know if you can, it's up there somewhere. And I've got stuff in there, like I've got a letter from a teacher who said my writing was so good and compared me to some famous writer and stuff. I saved that kind of stuff because it meant so much to me. And I'm thinking if I could give that, even if one of them out of all these people as a kid felt that way about something I sent, it would be worthwhile to send them to everybody.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
changed how I felt about myself.
Well, believe me, as a recipient, it's a huge boost
Oh,
and a
good.
keepsake.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to throw those away.
Oh, good. Good, good. And you know what? That's funny when I was talking to Gary, your husband, about uh, what kind of roles there are on the support staff in other theater companies. There isn't really somebody, I'm just doing admin work, really. Right? I'm kind of doing Kenny's secretary thing, is what I'm pretty much doing.
Are
But
you
he said,
okay with that?
yes, it's a job I know. That's
Okay.
why when he was here and I started treating him like the director, once I even talked to him a couple times and realized his job in New York, he had two or three assistants. I thought this is not going to work unless somebody is his assistant. He needs help with the regular everyday stuff. Uh,
Yeah.
and then I thought, well, I've done that. I've been somebody's secretary for years. That's what I did before I did this full time. So I thought that's my sign that that's my spot because
Yeah.
I'm not
Your
an actor.
lane.
Well, yeah, I'm not my lane.
Yeah.
I'm not an actor. I'm not any of those things. So, but I can be an assistant. So
Hmm.
yeah, that doesn't bother me. Yeah, no, you're still thinking that because I said stay in your lane.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're very good at it, I must say. You're very good at it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So, what are your plans going forward? I know you're working on the next play for us, I hope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's funny because after this one, I said, no more. I'm done. The well has run dry.
Didn't we all, though? I was like,
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so hopefully, the same people will want to come back and maybe we'll get some newbies. That would be nice too.
what else do you do that? Because I know you as a person, you stretch and do different stuff. So besides writing, what else do you do?
Well, I love to go for walks with my dog. That takes up quite a bit of the morning. I'm in a book group, so, reading, and we have a little cottage on Lake Horace that we go to. It's an interesting cottage because you can't get there by road.
Oh,
It's only by boat. You could hike in, but it's treacherous and a lot of trees have fallen down in the woods. But yeah, so it's very, as people are trying to build bigger and better and higher and wider, we really can't, not that we would, because I like the cottagey part of it. We don't need to
but you have to
mow.
lug
We just,
everything in and out though by boat. That's tough.
yes, everything in and out by boat. But we don't have to add anything to it because it is what it is.
Well, that's pretty nice.
Yeah. And the water is just as wet where we are as the $1 million homes.
Oh, and well, I bet you it's still, I mean, people would die to have that camp like that because people want to get away from, the whole rest of everything, the city
Mm,
and all that, and that's perfect where you're out
yeah.
there. So the
Yeah,
only part is
it's
hard
nice.
maintaining, I would, because you got to maintain the boat too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you got to, yeah, because I imagine you have to have a motorboat. You can't do canoeing
Yeah, a
over it,
pontoon
right?
boat actually came with the cottage.
Oh, well, that's
Yeah.
not so pontoon. At least you have more room.
Yeah. And it's so funny. Everybody has a pontoon boat. And in the summer, around 4 or 5 o'clock, it's like a parade. Everybody gets out and they do a slow tour of the lake.
How big
It's
is that lake?
Oh dear. Well, it's called a lake, but it's
It's
just probably over the line from pond to lake. I don't know. Maybe
oh, it's
maybe
pretty
more.
small.
It's
Yeah, I've
small,
been up
yeah.
there some. Matter of fact, Alex learned how to swim up there with Suzanne Cowie.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, she's like the little kid whisperer.
Yeah, she
You
is.
know her. Yeah, you
You
know her.
know, in my triathlon days, I only did the swimming.
Wait a minute.
Um,
Try.
yeah,
Is that
we
in
were
high
a
school or?
team.
Oh,
We were a team. My husband ran, a friend biked, and I swam, and we always won because there was no other category of mixed people over 40.
oh,
So, or
so that's
50, I guess,
awesome.
over 50. So we always did well. But I used to swim the length of Horace just to, practice. And the
Wow.
width too. Every day I would do the width when I was getting ready for a triathlon. And then every once a year I would do the length.
You
So
have
that was
like these little hidden awesome things about you. I knew that would be true. Because I wouldn't have thought that. And I didn't know about the Spanish teacher till like this year, I think. That's awesome. That's awesome. So the back to the play just for a minute. That must feel like the Connie Evans Day of Appreciation every time we do the play, does it?
Well, one thing we really have to mention is what we give back to the community, too. I mean, not only are we teaching history, hopefully, people get that, but we've also got curtains for the town hall, and we want to try every year to improve it. So I
No,
think I
that's
think
true.
that's another thing I really enjoy about the We Are Community Theater.
And that this is thanks to you, by the way, but as I said at the beginning, I had no interest. And I guess it's because I'm so work oriented, but I didn't understand the function of community theater, why it was important, or why a lot of the arts things were important. But
Mm.
now that I've worked on the plays with you guys, now I get it because
Yeah.
it's 30 people that I wouldn't have met, chances are. I might have, but chances are I wouldn't know as well as I do.
Mm.
We
Hmm.
all have, I mean, a lot of us have opposite opinions on a lot of stuff,
Oh
including
yeah.
politics and religion and a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And we're sitting there. Matter of fact, I know two people in the play in particular. One is very conservative, one is very liberal, and we're all getting together, and it's not even a topic of discussion because we're
Exactly.
all focused on the play itself.
Exactly. And there was a time when I felt if somebody didn't believe the way I believed that I couldn't like that person, but you see
Oh,
so many different facets.
no, I
And
wouldn't have thought that about you.
well,
I wouldn't
I'm
have.
sorry. Um,
So no, what changed your mind then?
well, the play, the
Oh,
theater, yeah. You see people in a different light and you think, well,
yeah.
that person isn't so bad.
Yeah, I think I get a new appreciation for people because you
Hmm.
see everybody's working hard, everybody's having the same struggle, like remembering their lines or remembering their spots, and everybody has the same thing that they're doing, regardless, I always say that wrong, regardless of how they feel about other stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that, and everybody's point is they want the play to be good.
Hmm.
So, but I had no idea that was, how did I come to that so late?
Well, that's how I feel. Why did it take this long? But
That was, well, that half hour went by quick.
it
We're
did.
all done already. Um,
Wow.
is there anything that you want to, like, do you have a project going on that you'd like to plug, or your next book, or just the play?
Well, the book that I'm writing is totally different. It does not take place somewhere. It takes place in North Carolina, of all places, but that's going to be a long time coming.
Is it a history still?
Well, there is a part of it that historically happened, um, but it's all fiction up to that point. Yeah.
I was impressed when we first heard that there was time travel and time will tell. I look at me and Kenny were like, I don't know about that, but it was perfect. I mean, it really worked. It was good.
Well, I
And
think the
first,
fog
at first
machine
blush, though, it was
the fog machine was fun.
the fog machine. Yeah, yeah, and maybe that's what Kenny's good at, is sorting it out so that it can be interactive with the crowd, is what makes it fun, I guess.
Yes, yeah. I mean, there's no line of distinction, as far as the actors are there. They come out and
And
they
they
go
keep
up the
coming down
aisle
the
and
aisle and out the doors, and
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think that's must be. Is that the same with other plays, or that is
No.
that's his special
I mean,
skill?
maybe there are some, but I have not. Well, actually, there was some play I saw where people were coming down the aisles, but not exactly the how Kenny does it.
And it's funny during the rehearsals here, where it's not a stage and we don't have the stairs and the doors and all that stuff, you don't realize that all that's going to go on until right near the end when he throws it in. But
Yeah.
I've seen his notebook, and I think he knows, like, at the beginning, how he's going to do all those things. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he's adding it layer as he goes, but he certainly plans stuff out
Yep.
far in advance. I don't know about you, but I think I'm a better leader in my job watching both you and him. I mean, just the way I deal with people and interact, and the way that I plan things out, just
Hmm.
watching you both.
Well, I don't do much after the play's written. I mean, every once in a while there's a line,
No,
a
you
little
show up.
a child will say, "Can you give me a line?"
But you show up. That's the
Yeah, I
important.
don't know why. I mean, I don't really see what
You
service I
can't say
am.
that though, because that's what I get accused of when people say, "Why are you there?" And I do. You think I do serve a function? So do you. We both do. We're
Okay.
we're the pillars holding up the actors and
Hmm.
the support staff. I think it's important that we show up. So I did.
Okay. I just hate driving at night in the winter, you know?
Oh no, I get it. What do you think I offer to have it here?
Yeah.
That's kind of a selfish reason, but
Uh-huh.
but anyway, thank you so much, Connie, and I'm
Well,
so
thank
looking
you.
to
This was a delight.
project number 4.
Oh
And
boy. Yeah.
I'm going to put this out, and that's it for this morning. I thank you all very much. I'm going to put Connie's contact information and her link to her books on Amazon in the comments on YouTube, so you all can find out more about Connie. And you have actually a couple other interviews, I think, that you recorded that I'll put links in there too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you very much. Stay right there a minute. I'm just going to end the recording, okay?